The movie starts with lots of people enjoying their time in a big town. It's a beautiful night with lighting all around. A small market is open and there are people bustling here and there. A young girl named Kat Elliott is also present there. Kat lives with her parents, Delroy and Wilma, who happen to own a root beer brewery in the town of Rustbank. Her father, Delroy, is talking on the phone to someone who wants to buy his brewery shop. They try to convince Delroy into selling his business, but he quickly declines the offer and hangs up the phone. That's when his wife asks him if they are selling their business, and Delroy curtly says that they aren't. Wilma is really happy to hear this. She goes up to Kat and conveys her the amazing news. Kat is also excited to hear the news. That's when her parents tell her that it's time to go home and she agrees. The family drives away from the market and towards their home. It's pitch black and Delroy is having a hard time driving. Kat begins eating a candy apple as he drives home on a stormy night. Inside, she sees a big two-headed worm. Kat is so frightened by it that she lets out a loud scream. Delroy is stunned to hear her scream, which causes him to steer off a bridge. All of them fall into a deep lake. Wilma somehow manages to save Nat, but unfortunately, she loses her life in the process. Delroy also dies in the accident, which leaves a scar on Kat's memories. 5 years have passed since the accident. Kat is grown up now, and she is a stern, punk rock-loving loner who blames herself for her parents' death. The scene shifts to the underworld, where a demon named Buffalo Belzer is dreaming of making an amusement park for all the departed souls there. He has 2 demon sons, Wendell and Wild, who spend their days planting trees and lazing around. They're trying to grow hair cream for their balding father, who has put them in prison for committing treason. While growing the hair cream, they steal some of it and eat it. They get high because of the cream and start to get vivid visions. Just then, Belzer catches them and threatens them to never do it again, so the 2 brothers get back to their work. On the other hand, Kat seems to have gone through a lot of trouble after her parents died. She is forgiven and sent to an all-girls school because she is only a child. While driving to school, Kat looks out the window to see that she's back in Rustbank. Not only that, she notices that the road to her school is on the same bridge that her parents died on, and starts to have a panic attack. The woman driving the van asks Kat if she's okay, and she says she's fine. Kat then looks out the window and sees that her old brewery shop has completely burned down, and the entire town has been destroyed. This worsens her mood even more. After seeing her old town, all the past memories just come flooding back. Kat is enrolled in Rustbank's all-girls Catholic school, which is led by Father Bests. They finally reach the school, and the driver lady asks her to behave as this is her only chance. Kat ignores that request and walks away. Just as she's about to enter, a group of girls comes to her. They try to cheer Kat up, but she's just disgusted at the way they just prance around. The leader of this group happens to be Siobhan Claxton, whose parents own a massive company known as Claxton Corp. Apparently, the company controls the whole city. The 3 girls in the group make an attempt to befriend Kat. Kat doesn't want to be their friend. Suddenly, she gets a vision that a brick is falling from above. Kat pushes Siobhan away as she tries to get really chummy. But just then, a brick falls from the sky, and unintentionally, Kat ends up saving Siobhan's life. Kat is surprised after her vision comes true. As she's wondering about it, a group of nuns walk up to her and drag her away to the principal's office. Kat spends some time there talking with Principal Bests. The principal then gives Kat the school uniform, and she even gets her own room in the school. Sometime later, Kat meets Raoul, who happens to be a trans boy. Raoul was once best friends with Siobhan, but they ended up having a fallout. He tries to be friends with Kat, but she instantly refuses. Raoul's mother, Mariana, is convinced the Claxtons are responsible for the fire that burned down Kat's parents' factory and eliminated their workers. The class starts, and Sister Helly walks in with a trolley. She shows the students an octopus that can change forms during class. She then calls for Kat to look at it closer, and Kat agrees. She walks up to the tank and taps the screen twice so the octopus can change its form. But then the octopus transforms into a terrifying creature, and Kat receives an electric shock. Sister Helly immediately takes Kat out of the class. That's when they notice that Kat now has a mark on her hand that strangely resembles a skull. Sister Helly is shocked to see the mark and begs Kat to hide it. Kat gets annoyed at that, thinking Sister Helly just wants to protect her job, and walks away. Meanwhile, in the underworld, the Mark alerts Wendell and Wild that they finally found a Hell Maiden, who happens to be none other than Kat. The two brothers celebrate with joy and plan their next steps. On the other hand, the Claxtons turn out to be cunning business people who destroyed the whole city. As it turns out, Father Bests is also in league with them. While playing hockey, Father Bests accidentally talks about how the Claxtons burned down Kat's brewery. Because of this, they him so as to wipe out any witnesses or evidence of the brewery fire. Roll's mother also tries her hardest to find any evidence against the Claxtons, but fails miserably. No one even dares to go against those people, as they're really dangerous. Back at school, Kat realizes how much she really misses her parents. Just then, Wendell and Wild appear in her dream. Promising to revive her parents, she summons them to the world of the living by using a teddy bear as her guide. Kat agrees, and so the two brothers ask her to take the teddy bear to a graveyard on a full moon with a witness by her side. That way, they can be summoned to the land of the living. Convinced that they might actually come back, Kat goes to her classroom at midnight and finds an eerie-looking stuffed bear inside a drawer. She steals the stuffed bear from Helly to summon Wendell and Wild. It turns out that Helly was once a Hell Maiden herself, but now she works with the school's janitor, Manberg, who hunts down demons and keeps them in jars. Manberg notices the teddy bear is missing, so he goes on a mission to find the thief. Back in the underworld, Wendell and Wild end up discovering that their father's hair cream brings dead organisms back to life. They decide to test it on dead humans and wait until Kat summons them. Meanwhile, everyone mourns the death of Father Bests. Kat takes this opportunity to summon her demons. She then recruits Roll as her witness to complete the task at hand. As the full moon rises, Kat does everything that the demonic Teddy tells her to do. However, the brothers appear in another part of the cemetery, and Kat believes that she has been stood up and betrayed. Eventually, Sister Helly finds the two of them there and takes them back to the school. Meanwhile, Wendell and Wild test the cream on Bests, who comes back to life. Bests thanks them, but that's when the demon brothers ask him to pay up. They want to build a large amusement park at Rustbank with the money they earn. Sadly, there's no one in Rustbank who can pay them that much money, so Bests then tries to convince the Claxtons into paying the brothers. That way, they can revive the deceased members of the town council, and Wendell and Wild can also build their dream amusement park somewhere else. This would give the Claxtons all the support and votes they need to demolish the town and expand their prisons. The Claxtons agree to this request, but demand that the brothers aren't allowed to revive anyone other than the previous council members. The brothers agree, and Bests happily returns to school. There, Kat confronts the brothers, who make her vow that she'll serve them forever in exchange for her parents' resurrection. Back in the graveyard, Rowell is forced to dig up the council members, who Wendell and Wild instantly revive. Rowell seizes this opportunity and steals the cream. He runs away from there and uses the cream on Delroy and Wilma instead. As expected, Delroy and Wilma come back to life and walk out of their graves. They then ask Rowell who he is, to which he replies that he's actually Kat's friend. As he says that, Delroy and Wilma walk away and try to find Kat. They think she must be in the city and are very excited to meet their daughter after so long. On the other hand, Kat is walking back to her house. That's when she notices the lights are turned on. Kat is confused as to who it might be. She enters her home and finds her parents. They all rejoice and celebrate. Finally, Kat is reunited with her parents, and she couldn't be happier. Kat eventually also helps Rowell escape the brothers. After the Zombie Council approves the Claxtons' plans, Siobhan discovers that her parents lied to her about the conditions of their prisons. When she confronts them, Mr. and Mrs. Claxton somehow convince Siobhan that their plans are for the best, so she should be happy with them. They even ask her to be present when they inaugurate the new prisons. Meanwhile, Helly and Manberg make Kat undergo a ritual that helps break her connection with Wendell and Wild, resulting in her accepting the fact that her parents' deaths were not her fault. The ritual further gives her control over her powers, which Helly reveals are the consequence of being a Hell Maiden. Back in the graveyard, Bests, Wendell, and Wild kidnap Delroy and Wilma. They take the two to the cemetery, where Siobhan tells them that her parents' payment is just useless company money. Just then, Buffalo Belzer appears. He has found out about Wendell and Wild's cunning plan, which infuriates him. He goes on to punish them, but a mural painted by Roel convinces him to make up with his sons. Manberg also releases his collection of demons after learning that they are all Belzer's children. Belzer eventually apologizes to Wendell and Wild and approves their plans to establish an amusement park. But suddenly, Bess dies once again, and that's when Belzer explains that the cream's effects are only temporary. This means that the cream's effects last only for a short amount of time before dissipating. This also shows that all the people who came back from death using the cream will soon die again. As the Claxton group is about to demolish the town, Kat sees them and tries to stop them because she has seen the future already. They all start fighting over it, and in the end, Kat's group wins. Roel then uses the last of the cream to revive 3 dead factory workers so that they can testify against the Claxtons' crimes. They also give their vote for Rustbank not being demolished, which results in the Claxtons getting arrested. That's when Kat realizes that her parents are going to die again. She starts to cry, but her parents tell her they are very proud of her and want to see Rustbank's future from above. Kat starts to see the future of the city, and it looks amazing. There is happiness everywhere. Kat is relieved to see that the future of Rustbank is very bright. She celebrates this with sister Helly. Finally, Delroy and Wilma tell Kat that they both love her a lot. Just before Delroy and Wilma die, Kat uses her powers to give them a glimpse of the future where Rustbank is revived. Wendell and Wild even offer them VIP passes to their afterlife fair. Seeing everything fall back into place leads to Kat finally making peace with her life. In the end, Kat finds lots of lovable people in her life. She has changed now and wants to start her life with a clean slate. She even comments on how she has 2 best friends, who are none other than Wendell and Wild. The movie finally ends with beautiful scenery.